trial? What do you think so far?
Right now, I think the prosecution did what they needed to do today. They did their big one, even though it's so weird because they did their big one, but it was so subtle. I feel like it wasn't the big explosion that I felt when Puff's team cross-examined the first couple witnesses.
Right now, I'm kind of in the middle because it somewhat seems like more of a domestic violence type of case versus a RICO federal case.
What I feel like this is going right now, it could go a number of ways. Unlike yesterday, which detailed more a lot of like sexual abuse and a lot of specifics regarding the behavior with the escorts, today seemed to dive more into a lot of like physical abuse.
They laid the groundwork for some of the charges to stick, if I'm being honest with you. And I think that's in question right now. People feel like, oh, well, the prosecution ain't really got nothing. Cassie's testimony alone, and there's still so many people that I'm sure we're going to hear from, laid the groundwork for them charges to stick. I don't think they're going to stick the way that people think. Like, I don't think he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, but he definitely going to sit down.
So far, it's a back and forth. What we have today now is I think that the prosecutors kept this whole day for themselves. So then that's going to lead us probably into a 2-day cross-examination, most likely. And I think that now that could play into the defense's favor because over the weekend, everybody in the jury is going to be thinking about what the defense said last on their minds.
I think the most damning piece of evidence that was shown was a lot of the photos with bruises all over Cassie's face and having her kind of explain how those bruises happened. And I think one of the photos for me that stood out was the photo of the knife that she put in her door after her and Diddy broke up, where she said that Diddy made a lot of unannounced stops at her house.
But I personally think the most revealing one was in terms of like the bruises, and then at one point, Cassie texted a photo of the bruises to Diddy and said, "I want you to know what you did."
So do you think that today, as a juror, you were on the jury, that you would convict?
Good morning, and welcome to another
I would convict
edition
him, but it would
of
be,
Let It Be
I
Known.
would suggest a way lighter sentencing than what they're talking about. And I'm not fully convinced yet. So if I was a juror today, I would be leaning towards, okay, he does need to serve some time, but not what they talking about.
No, not yet. I would want to hear from Diddy's defense and see what their rebuttals are, and because there's a lot of facts that still haven't been shown yet.
I wouldn't be so fast to convict yet, man. It's going to be more.
But after I see the cross-examination of Cassie, I think I'll have a better feeling of like how I think the rest of the case is about to go. But again, she's one witness. She's a star witness, but she's one witness.
So I've seen you with the family every single day at court so far. What is your position with the family?
My position is family and a very close friend of Puff's.
Yesterday you were wearing a Free Puffy shirt. Do you believe that Puffy will be free?
Yes, I do believe he's going to be free. Yes, I do believe that. It ain't what they heard, it's what they didn't hear, right? They didn't hear any crimes, right? At least no crimes that'll put a man in jail like that. You follow me? What I heard today was domestic violence. I heard two consenting adults having a freaky situation with one another, and last time I checked, being a freak and being a voyeur is not against the law, and it's definitely punishable by no jail time. So I believe in this team, and they're strong enough to tell the truth. They're strong enough to get the truth. That's all we're doing. We're targeting the truth.
Day for your trial. What do you think so far?
And good morning. I am your host of Let It Be Known, Stacy Brown. It is good to have you guys with us this morning.
Peace and love. Welcome to Let It Be Known. And as you just saw, that was commentary from people who have been inside the courtroom. And here's what we know that's factual about the Diddy trial. After being on the witness stand for about 9 hours over 2 days, Cassie Ventura is done with direct questioning from prosecutors. And today, cross-examination begins from Diddy's defense team. So that's where we're at, guys.
And it should be interesting. We'll see what happens going forward. I don't know who the other witnesses are that they're going to bring forward, but we'll see. And it's good to hear from people from inside the courtroom. And you see a whole. It seems like to a theme, though. Everyone is asking about or talking about. Well, this looks like domestic violence, but we'll see. It is domestic violence, but he's not charged with it. Is the point? But we will see what happens going forward with this trial.
For sure.
And I noticed that there's some chatter, and we talked about a little bit about this yesterday, and I just wanted to highlight that the black women unemployment is now 6.1%. It's so funny because just this morning, probably about an hour ago, I got a text from April Ryan about the Black women unemployment, which we have reported on Black Press USA and here on Let It Be Known yesterday. And there's more to that because Black women have carried the load forever in the workforce as well. And so this is very disturbing stuff to have Black women losing 106,000 jobs last month.
Yeah, yeah. Trump clan
Yeah, we'll
administration.
Trump plan
Results from it.
administration. Yeah,
Results from it.
exactly. So we'll continue to follow that. The next report comes out June the 6th, I believe. And so we will see what's the numbers then. But in this administration, you cannot expect anything to get better. And that's really the shame of it all. But we'll be talking more about that, Orangey and others. The conservative activist named by President Donald Trump as the head of the Justice Department's weaponization working group said Tuesday. Now get this. He said he planned to, quote, name and shame individuals that the DOJ determines it is unable to charge with crimes. They're going to name it. So because you can't charge them, you're going to name and shame them. What kind of government do we have here? And if you recall, Niele, throughout the Biden administration, Trump and his folks kept saying, oh, it's supposed to be, the DOJ is supposed to be separate from the president. He's weaponizing the DOJ. What in the world is this?
Yeah, it's a lot of bizarre things coming out. Like with this name and shame, I read that customs and immigrations are now wanting people to add their social handles to their visa applications. It's just a way to like control people and have them live in fear. I mean, this is a fear tactic. Let me be careful what I say about the government because they're going to weaponize me if I do. Let me be careful what I say about the government because if I leave the country, I might not be able to come back in.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that even with media. This last trip to Saudi Arabia and other places, they didn't invite to the pool certain legacy media that is generally in that pool. He yelled at a CNN reporter. Trump did. I think it was a CNN reporter. He yelled at the other day, who simply asked about the plane, their $400 million gift, and he told her, of course, it was a woman. What a dumb question. No, it's not a dumb question.
He likes to say that to women.
Yeah, yeah.
How he talks to women sometimes, how he talks to women for the most part, he doesn't talk to men like that.
Mm-mm. No, exactly right. You're right. He may make fun of them. He may like give them little monikers like Little Marco, and stuff like that. But you're right. He doesn't call them dumb or stupid or anything like that. But he reserves that exclusively for women. Tells you a lot about him.
True.
Gosh, this is what we are up against, folks. This is what we are living with, I should say, and will be apparently for at least the next 3.5 years. Golly, how old are we gonna be in 3.5 years? Everybody's gonna be gray.
Right. Traditionally, it's the president that turns gray during that time, but he's gonna keep dyeing his hair, and we're gonna all be gray.
Says the guy with all the white hair. But they say he talked the way he talked that NABJ says it all and they allowed it. That was a huge issue I had, Orangey. The way that NABJ, first of all, having him was horrible, and then having Harris Faulkner it just added salt to the wound. And the way he spoke to the others was just, they should have interrupted. They should have stepped up and said, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
But
And you're
of
talking
course,
about
NABJ.
you're talking about the conference that happened last year when he was running for president. And there was a big hoopla because Kamala Harris wasn't invited, but she was. And then he showed up and then he didn't want to go on the stage. And then he did go on the stage. Yeah. I just want everybody to know that you were talking about the conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And still to this day, the president of NABJ should have been removed immediately. He should have been fired, or relieved of his duties as president, in my opinion. Anybody involved in that decision should have been removed. It's just, to me, that's one of those unforced errors that is unforgivable as well. And it
Hmm.
turned out exactly the way you thought it would turn out. And nobody intervened. Nobody intervened. And that's the sad part about it. A room full of black journalists and nobody stepped up.
Well, I mean,
NABJ,
there were a lot of
shame.
complaints. There were a
There were
lot of
complaints.
complaints by
Yeah.
the members. I mean, but I
Hmm.
mean, what else could you do?
Yeah, I guess the president, though, he could have stopped the NABJ president could have stopped that nonsense.
Yeah, and people couldn't have. They could have also not shown up and turned their backs in the room. I saw
True.
this week at a graduation. I forget the state that it was in, but one of the governors was speaking. It was a Republican governor, and a big portion of the graduates got up and walked out the room. So
Hmm.
NABJ could have did that, but everybody wanted
Yeah.
to see what he had to say.
Well, you knew what Trump was going to say, and at that point, I see the point that Greer's making, and I don't know if it's the same point, but it wasn't like he was the president at the time; he was a candidate. So
Right.
he didn't earn or deserve at that point the respect that you would give a president. Um, and yes, Harris Faulkner, we mentioned it, Greer. You had that, who's not a member of NABJ, but you had her invited there to ask questions and support Trump. So that was, it was so bad, so bad. So Dr. Joni says it's amazing to me how the elected Republicans have simply gone along with the hatred and cruelty and lies. Well, yeah, we've been saying that, how they have just capitulated. It's like they're gonna do, and they're going out of their way. They're in the midst of gutting the Medicaid and everything else, healthcare, et cetera, and they are going along with it. And the puppet that sits as the House Speaker, no backbone, nothing. None of them do.
Right. Well, I mean, they're all on the agenda train. They're all on the Project 2025 agenda train, and a lot of them don't like Trump, but they would rather hold their nose to push that agenda through. So, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, they don't they're going along with Trump, but they're really going along with the Project 2025 agenda.
Well, that's a good point. It's a real good point. Um, Here's something that I'm not sure where this representative out of Michigan, Sri Vanadar, is going, but he said he will press forward and force a vote to impeach Donald Trump, which defies his own party leaders, who are desperately urging him to stand down. Um, Democratic leaders believe that an impeachment vote, which is destined to fail in the Republican-led House, the MAGA-led House, really, would be a distraction at a time the party is trying to focus on issues like the cuts to Medicaid that are included in the GOP sweeping bill for Trump's agenda. Because that there's absolutely zero chance that an impeachment would move forward, even in the House, even in a House committee, forcing a vote. Is this just a distraction, as the Democratic leaders are saying?
I mean, I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. And if that's how he feels, hey, it's a lot of things that are happening. I think that, it's like for Democrats right now, it's like spaghetti. Throw it up and see what sticks. I
But,
mean, do something. I mean, I'm not
well,
mad at this. It's not going to go anywhere. But I mean, I'm wondering though, this is coming out of the House, right? This
right, right.
right. So I'm wondering why Al Green isn't a part of this conversation, because he was the first one back during Trump's first term to file
Mhm.
articles of impeachment. There was a lot of talk that he said that he was going to do it again this time around. So I'm just wondering why he's K Solo doing this when there are some members of Congress who are interested in filing those articles of impeachment. I just don't understand why he's going K Solo.
Well, he's going solo because of the fact that I think even Al Green realized it, and so many others. This is not going to go anywhere. But not only is it not going to go anywhere, and I'm glad to see. I was going to ask our viewers to put their thoughts of it in the chat, and they are doing it already. But not only is it not going to go anywhere, but it's going to distract from the true issues. We already have so many distractions that we're missing so many things. And the other thing is, failed impeachment tends to help the sitting president. When you fail to impeach, it helps. He was impeached twice in his first presidency in the House. Of course, the Senate, he owned the Senate at that time, and it wasn't going to go anywhere in the Senate. Here, he owns both the House and the Senate. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to give Republicans more talking points to distract you from what's really going on, and to make this guy out to be, okay, y'all just trying to get him. That's the problem that Hakeem Jeffries and others are having with this. Now you're gonna turn the bad guy into a victim. So you gotta, unless you know that you got some Republicans that are gonna go along with you, stand down. That's the way it seems. Dr. Joni says it's doomed. Patricia Jackson says that distract and lose confidence. Just stand down. It's a waste of time. Focus on real issues. So, and somebody else says it makes him seem like a martyr. And Orange says impeachment means nothing to Trump or his MAGA Billy base. But MB, on the other hand, says, I'm happy they're just filing it. However, you're right. It won't happen now, although the language is out there that they got to build it. So that's another there's another point of view.
And it could be that his constituents are calling him saying, impeach him. He might be acting on the words of his constituents that are flooding his office, telling or showing up at the town hall saying, hey, we want this guy out of there. So at least he's doing what his constituents want, whether it goes. So, I mean, it could be multiple reasons, but like I say, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. There's so much going on at that Capitol, especially yesterday. You had people falling asleep.
Lawmakers falling asleep.
You had the Ben and Jerry's owners getting thrown out of the Kennedy hearing. I mean, it was the Wild Wild West up on Capitol Hill. So he's just trying to get in where he fits in, I think.
And big ups. Yep. And big ups to Ben and Jerry. They have, through thick and thin, have stuck with Black folks and diversity. They have been very forceful in their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even after this president came out, smoke guns ablazing against diversity, Ben and Jerry says no.
Yeah, and I love how they use their ice cream as a platform for social justice. So not only do you get a pint of ice cream, but you get a message too.
Yeah, absolutely. But just briefly, those lawmakers who fell asleep, what's up with that? Are they boring themselves?
Well, the hearing went into the wee hours of the morning. And so, I mean, it was like 3 of them, just mouth wide open, knocked out.
And yes, Dr. Joni Toole says Ben and Jerry's has spoken out loudly and without capitulation for decades. Absolutely. So we really, really have to, you have to applaud folks as much as we go after folks like Target and others who have reneged on their diversity commitments. Ben and Jerry's is one of those organizations, one of those companies that have stood firm, as you all say, 10 toes down on that. And to your point too about the representative and his constituents, well, it's
I mean, knocked out.
What is his constituents saying today?
Right. Where are the other members at? They were knocked out. It wasn't a Donald Trump nod. They was
more.
Look. Oh my! And they the slept on Don. They had to wake him up. They called his name out. He was out. So, um, she says these folks are DEI hires. Where them fans at, David Youngbloods?
That's a good one.
And FB says, "Oops, these guys are not camera ready."
No, they weren't. They weren't. They was
Oh
tired. They
boy,
was tired.
they're tired. By now we all know about Rodney Hinton Jr., the black father accused of killing a Hamilton County deputy with his car just hours after watching police body cam footage of his own son's fatal shooting by deputies who have he's pleaded not guilty to murder charges. But while Hinton sits behind bars, get this, bruised and denied bond, a federal lawsuit bearing his name has mysteriously emerged, accusing Cincinnati police of excessive force, unlawful detention, and creating an atmosphere of fear. Now, here is the kicker. Hinton's lawyer says that he and his client had nothing to do with this $25 million lawsuit and learned about it only through the media. Well, enter a woman named Antoinette Holloway, a woman not listed as an attorney, but instead filing a suit as a, quote, next friend, a legal guardian of sorts for someone unable to speak for themselves. She's not related to him. She says she's never ever met him, but was so disturbed by the case that she took legal action on his behalf, believing that the system failed him.
So if she were to win, who would the money go to?
That's a great question. That's a great. So so the answer to that appears to be it would go to Hinton because she filed it on behalf of him. And unless he objects, unless his attorneys object, and they didn't sound like they were objecting as much as they were saying, we didn't do it.
The times we're living in. These are the times we're living in. You know, we've seen stranger under Donnie.
but here's the thing with that. What's interesting? This is a person identified as a black woman who's disturbed by what she sees as the treatment of this man after his son was murdered by cops. You have a black person, a black woman, no less, standing up because we saw the pictures of the of Hinton in the elevator. If that black cop wasn't, we discussed it. We know that he would not have made it to the next floor if that black cop wasn't standing guard. She's concerned about him the same way folks went out and raised over $1 million for Luigi in New York, who allegedly killed the healthcare CEO.
Mm-hmm. And they've also shut down several GoFundMe pages for Hinton due to the police union pushing up against the GoFundMe company. And so it just seems like, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse, he was able to raise a lot of money. He probably still living off of that money through GoFundMe to support him. So it just shows you that there's like, well, we know this. It's America. There's a double standard for black folks. What white folks are able to do, we can't do. So as long as the money goes to him, everybody file a lawsuit. You file a lawsuit. You file a lawsuit on his behalf.
Well, it's a very interesting thing. And you know, when you say, you know, this is what black folks are doing instead of getting involved with the political mess that's going on, they're doing their own thing. Well, this is one of the own things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you could, this is something tangible I think you can point to, you know, aside from, you know, the fans and the dancing.
Get active.
Hey, she said, look, somebody's got to do it.
Right.
So
are you really gonna do it?
Yeah, there you go. And as Inferno 932 says, our version of Luigi. And yes, Dr. Joni, it is a civil case. Now they may come back and say she has no standing, but you know, she seems intent on you know, moving the needle on this. So good for her. And he says, from Rodney King to Rodney Hinton Jr., we've watched how the local media, the local police and media control the narrative. And that's another part of this, right? This young lady is trying to change the narrative a little bit, or you know, or at least put the focus where she believes it should be. because you know you lose. It's easy to lose somebody in this system, in this in the prison system, in the jail system. There's many a people who've gone in even for something a lot less serious than what Mr. Hinton is in for, and they don't come out.
Right.
So mysteriously, they don't come out. So good for her. She's keeping the spotlight on this guy. Here's something else too. I certainly want folks to weigh in on. Niele, Viola Davis has spoken out about the pressure she faced at Juilliard, the world famous Juilliard. She says the pressure to conform to a quote white standard of acting. She revealed that the prestigious drama school tried to mold her into a quote, as she says, a perfect white actress. The Oscar winner says she was pushed to prove her range by performing white roles while white actors were free to just be themselves. And she said, that's not me. This is really interesting because to me, it begs some questions. And folks, chime in on this. Who gets to define range in Hollywood, and why does it rarely include blackness? And if Juilliard couldn't recognize Viola Davis for who she was, the talent she exhibited, who else are they overlooking?
I mean, I sometimes I think actors and actresses, that they live in a bubble. I mean, when I saw this story, I thought about like, students who go to medical school. When they open up those books, there's no reflection of black people in them. I remember there was a young man who was in high school, and he decided to create medical books that had black people in them for representation for black people, and so I just think that it's not just Juilliard, it's just the way this system is set up, the education system. Black history is taught in a portion, but in history, it's all the white people. So, I mean, this is no different from how education is taught throughout this country. It's taught through the lens of white people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like everything is taught through the lens of white people. So are the acting schools.
Yeah,
So,
and Mike V. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Mike. Let's see what
Yeah,
Mike
V
V
said Angela Bassett and Taraji P. Henson both said similar things in the last few years. And I get the point. I get your point there. It's just when you hear that a Juilliard is allowing, when you hear from someone like a Viola Davis that a Juilliard tried to basically take away her blackness, her ability to act the different parts, and allow white folks to do whatever they wanted, white students to do whatever they wanted. It still kind of hits a nerve when you think about the disparities everywhere. But you're right. It happens in all fields.
It happens.
I
Like
agree with that.
think about ballerinas. That's the whole purpose of why we love the Alan Ailey dance troupe, and Debbie Allen's school of dance, because it's harder in these white institutions: ballet, dance, acting, medical, dental, everything is through the lens of white people. That's just this country. And so I mean, I understand what they're saying, but I'm also like, girl.
Yeah. Greer says Whoopi Goldberg mentioned the same challenges starting out, so she created her own show. Whoopi said, you know what? I'm gonna do my own thing. Y'all go ahead with that.
Right. Right. Look
But
at
nobody,
Tyler Perry. Look at
Tyler
Tyler Perry,
Perry.
the Chitlin Circuit. There was no space for him. So he created his own lane, and now he's like, there's a video of him, and I think it's Kenya Barris, and they're having this conversation about, making content that is acceptable. And Tyler Perry's like, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna do me. And I'm gonna do what my fans want from me.
So I had the opportunity about 2-3 years ago to speak with Julius Tenen, Viola Davis's husband.
Mhm.
And he told me something that I did not know. So Viola Davis, this is, I guess, around the time that she was just starting out. she did the read. I wrote a book about with Stevie Wonder and his mom, and Viola Davis did the audio for our book. She read the book for us. And when if folks who have bought the audio version of the book, it's Viola Davis's voice. And Julius told me at that time, he says, when we did that book, he said that changed everything for us because he said people started really recognizing, and now this is only voice, it's not acting. People started really recognizing what she brings to the table. So he told me, he said, so I thank you. So I say that to say that I had a little slight hand in Viola Davis's career. So, so I'm gonna pat myself on the back there.
There you go.
There's a slight hand in the career of Viola Davis. So,
she also
but
said that she didn't want to do movies like The Help anymore. She didn't want to do any more of those types of films. And so I mean, I love that for her. She's in a space now too where she could pick and choose. Because so many times actors and actresses, they're only cast for certain type of roles. Taraji P. Henson, for example, once you get labeled as a certain type of actor in Hollywood, those are the only roles that white folks see you as, and you have to fight to get out of it. So she's been able to get out of that lens of white folks. She said that's why she did the new movie that she has out on Prime. I think it's called G20, where she was the president and she played semi-action hero. She wanted to get out of her comfort zone. So I think it's good that she's elevated to where she can pick and choose the roles she wants to do now.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier Whoopi Goldberg and Tyler Perry and what they did, and my question becomes: I know it's not easy to start your own, but why is it that some are able to and others are not? Why is it Tyler Perry can start his own? Why is it that Whoopi was able to start her own and others, are not?
I mean, I just think it has to do with passion and purpose. Like for me, I made a decision that I don't want to do mainstream news. I want to be centered in my blackness. I want to, I get have conversations all the time. I just had one last week, and it's like, I'm not really trying to do mainstream news. I don't really want to talk about, the Democratic Party as a whole. I want to stay centered in my blackness. I feel very lucky that I've been able to build a career for the past 20 years in Black media. Even when I worked at Fox, it was at Fox Soul, which was a Black platform. And so I think sometimes things are done intentionally and people just like, this is what I want to do through hell or high water, good or bad. This is how I'm going to stay centered. And I just think people make those decisions. And it doesn't mean that, everything is going to blow up for me like it did Whoopi or Tyler. But I think people make intentional decisions in the spaces they want to be in. Because clearly Tyler Perry is not trying to make any type of content before his chitlin circuit. That's me. Audience, and I love it. I love it.
And there is a huge difference, folks. It's not an imaginary difference. I work for the Los Angeles Times, Los Angeles Daily News, Gannett, and the Black Press. There is a huge difference in being able to tell the stories of people who look like you, and it feels much more impactful as well. So, and people, I will say this too: Black folks, when you write for Black press or you do anything for Black owned media, Black folks hold you more accountable. So it becomes it's a challenge, but it's one that many I certainly have, and obviously you have accepted with open arms.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love about Black newspapers, like Black media, is a little different. But with Black newspapers, it's news and advocacy. So if like you go to the LA Sentinel out here, they're gonna have an article in the story in the paper about voting, but there'll also be a polling place too. You could actually come there and vote. You could actually come there and get you a voter registration card. it's the advocacy part that I love about Black Press in particular. It's news, views, and advocacy. And that's something that you're not going to get at a LA Times,
Right.
or a Daily Breeze or a Washington Post. They're not going to do more than just give you the news.
The Daily
Black
Breeze is still
publishers,
around.
huh?
The Daily Breeze is still around.
For sure.
Okay.
It's a South Bay publication out here in Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles. But yeah,
Wow.
it's still around. But yeah, it's that piece of activism, that piece of community that you get from Black press that you don't get from white press.
Yeah. There you have it. Well, I guess you got some quickies today.
Yeah, I don't know. They might not be too quick, but it's some news that you could use. So the DNC, there's a lot of drama happening over at the DNC, you guys. So basically, they're taking steps to void the election of Vice Chairs David Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta. Now, David Hogg has been catching a lot of heat and criticism for his plans to fund Democratic challengers versus Democratic incumbents in upcoming elections. So the establishment is pissed about that, and he's pushing for major reform within the party. And we've been talking about the party needs reform, but he's one of the gun survivors, so he's really big on gun reform. And so it looks like Malcolm Kenyatta, the black gentleman, is a casualty of the drama and the infighting, although the reason that they're being voided out has nothing to do with Hogg. The drama is Kaylin Free, one of the losing candidates in the vice chair race, said the party had wrongly combined two separate questions into a single vote, putting a disadvantage to the female candidates because of party rules. So they're pissed off at him, but they found something in the bylaws. They found something in the bylaws, and now Kenyatta is a casualty of all of it. So Kenyatta has been going on all of the networks, really pissed off about what's happening to him. One of my friends, Wakenya Clanton, who is the executive director of the Poverty Law Center in Mississippi, she ran for vice chair and she lost. And so people were asking her, she said, "Don't ask me. I appreciate the love, but I'm not running again." But it would be really sad if Kenyatta got ousted for David's actions. But I don't see anything wrong with what David is doing. I don't think that all the time you have to support the incumbent.
Right.
If they're a Democrat and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. We need some fresh young people up in there. And this 25-year-old is kicking up dust and they don't like it. And now they want him out.
And that's the problem. You said it all right there. He's 25 years old, number one, and he's going against tradition. Right. Tradition suggests that you don't mess with the incumbents. Well, if the incumbents are not cutting the mustard, not getting it done, David Hogg is right. And then to sweep up Malcolm in this, and Malcolm can he can go toe to toe with anybody. And so why get him right? Why catch get him caught up in this? But and again, Malcolm is fairly young. He's not 25 years old, but he's still fairly young. It shows you again that that party just they got everything twisted.
They do. And then you have Jasmine Crockett saying that they're looking for a safe white guy to run for president. You know what I'm saying? So you have that factor too. So there's a lot going on with the Democratic Party, and I don't know how they're going to fix it, but it's a lot of drama. And what's happening is we still don't have these talking points. We were talking about this yesterday when we brought up Joe Biden, and it's like, well, give the man some talking points. And the Democrats can't get no talking points together because they have all this drama going on. And it's like, you know who you elected. You knew who this young boy was. You knew who he was, or maybe you didn't.
The House Democrats, the CBC, is having another pen and pad this morning, and I think Lauren Burke will be there. But I think it's a good thing because especially if the members participate like they did the last time, but it becomes, what else are you doing? What else are you doing? So we'll see. We'll see. I'll get the lowdown, the tea from Lauren later, I'm sure. But her and I both attended the last one. Um, we'll see.
Right, right. All right. So let's head to New York, where a federal judge this week seized control of New York City's notorious jail complex, Rikers Island. Now, the facility will be run by an official who reports directly to the courts.
Hmm. You know, that is probably something that needed to happen a long, long time ago. There's been a lot of talk about just closing that facility down. It's one of the most awful places, one of the most awfully ran places there is, there is, as far as prisons and jails are concerned. Folks go there, it's so twisted, and folks go there, they die there. That this is a jail, and it's not a prison.
Mhm.
And folks are spending years there. The court systems and everything there is so backed up. You have a right to a speedy trial. That generally means within a year. Folks are on Rikers Island waiting trial 3-4 years.
That's like that here in LA County Jail too. I think that's something that happens across the board. Um, and our LA County jail system is horrific as well. So there you have it, folks. But let's go back to Capitol Hill, Stacy, where Republicans have introduced a bill that could ban porn in the U.S., saying obscenity isn't protected by the First Amendment.
But listen, who's going to fight them on that?
Some of their colleagues.
Some of their colleagues.
Yeah, some nasty men on Capitol Hill.
Well,
if you went on their computer right now, they'd have porn.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, called out her Republican constituents threatened them a couple of times that she would release stuff like that on them if they didn't vote a certain way. So it's rampant there. So that's what makes it a sort of like, okay, this is kind of odd that a Republican is introducing this.
Right. And then you got down the hall, he ready to file articles of impeachment. It's the wild, wild East. Okay, not the West, but it's the wild, wild East. All right,
wow.
Stacey, let's talk about this new study that has to do with luxury brands. Now, a recent study has found that up to 75% of luxury spending comes from upper, middle class, and lower working classes. Now, the trend highlights the power of perception, where luxury items are more than products. They represent badges of success, and it proves status is more important than income. So 75% of individuals that are buying all of these expensive luxury brands are low level and middle class folks.
It's really a shame this keeping up with the Joneses, as the song says, just ain't weird to that. But to them it is. And there's been a lot of talk, at least in my lifetime. I've heard people say it and I've witnessed it. How do you live in a subsidized apartment building, and you got a Mercedes sitting outside? How do you live in what do you call it, in the projects, when you got these high-end cars and you walk out with a fur on? And it's the priorities are so skewed. This gives these conservatives these talking points that they come out with, and it's a shame.
And the thing about it is, they don't even these luxury brands don't even market to middle class
100%.
and low class people. And they also said that when they do market to us, the marketing has all of the labels on it. So like when they market to white people, the label is in the inside of the clothing. But when they want to market to black folks, it's all on the outfit. It's Fendi, 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 Fendi. But when they want to market to white folks, the Fendi tag is in the garment, and you don't even see Fendi. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
like even how they market to us is different.
Mm. I just wish we had more in our community, in our schools, financial literacy, education and stuff like that. Because it would help even if you don't make a lot of money. You're and you have kids. We always want best for our kids. We don't want better for our kids. You can at least show them and kind of, teach them a better way of life, because this is not it. Being able to go to the club Friday or Saturday night and show off your, like you say, your Fendi or your Birkin bag or whatever, and then Monday, you working 12-hour shifts trying to make ends meet. It's not a way to go.
Right, right. I mean, the jewelry, the luxury, the travel, all of these things that people try to keep up with, and you just really can't afford it.
Let me say this. Dr. Marilyn says, from a psychological point of view, for low income earners, luxury products give them a false sense of acceptance. That is, I'm glad it's got doctor in front of her name. So it's good to see
Mhm.
that, get some perspective there. And Mike Veeb says poverty creates class insecurities, and Black folks try and buy into materialistic ideas to find upward mobility in a capitalist system. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but wow.
And yeah, and the study said that it proves status is more about story than income. It's like
Hmm.
the story you're trying to, tell people of who you are rather than what you really have. And it should never
Yeah,
really be about that. It should just be about who you are as a person, not about what you have.
yeah. Fendi, RNG says Fendi and others have stolen their designs, materials, and colors from African tribes.
Mm,
That's
let's
a
go there. Let's go
right,
there.
right. So there you go. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's
What
head
else
over.
you got?
Let's head over to what is that saying, Greer? Trying to show people you're rich is going to leave you broke. I got my car in an LLC, got property in an LLC, pay my family from an LLC, keep the money in an LLC. If you're looking, you won't find me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. That's how white people do it. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like that's how they do it. That's how Donald Trump did it. Yeah, all these different companies and things like that. It's like we don't think business. We just think, let me get this, let me get that, let me get this. But we're not thinking from a business perspective. Like we were talking yesterday about white collar crimes. White folks just know how to be good thieves. It ain't like they better than us. You know what I'm saying? They just figured out how to work the system and make the
well,
system work for you.
not only have they may have figured some things out, but let's face it, they know too that they can get away with a whole lot more than other people can.
For sure.
And
100%.
Dr. Joni says that's why Trump surrounds himself in gold-plated everything, even as he was bankrupt. And MB says MAGA falls for this too. It's surface.
hmm
So yeah, everybody's got some great points on this.
Yeah. So let's jump into some HBCU headlines. Morehouse College just announced his new president. His name is Dr. F. Du Bois Bowman. He's a 92 graduate and a member of Omega Psi Phi, and he will serve as the college's 13th president. So, congratulations to him. And we're still tracking what's happening at FAMU.
Hmm.
There's a lot of disturbing things going on. I know that the Republicans are trying to put a black face in a place, and a lot of the alumni are saying, "No, ma'am, we don't want you." And so we'll continue to track that story and give you an update on it. I think we talked about that last week as well.
Oh, and what's the new president you just showed? What's his name?
His name is Dr. F. Du Bois Bowman.
See, there's the key right there, folks. When you talk about wealth and all that stuff, if you just use your first initial and then the next name, everybody with you know, the T Peter something or F something something. It seems like they all got some wealth to them. So that's the key. So Niele, we got to start. It should be like T Niele Anderson,
No,
S
I'm just
Stacy
gonna go
Brown.
by one name. No, I'm gonna drop the last name and
Oh,
just
that's
go
another.
from the
That's
L.
another means of success, right? If you
Yeah,
just
I'm
go
gonna
by
drop
one
the
name, like
name.
Steele.
like
Madonna,
or Beyonce.
Beyonce. There you
Just
go.
go by one name, Jay-Z. You know.
Well, that was hyphenated. Let's drop the hyphenation.
And
Oh, she said, like, wait. Greer says she only goes by Greer.
there we go. See, one name. That's all you need. One name.
There you go.
But I was told, so when I used to do news over at Fox, I was told I just went by my first name. Hi. No, you need to use your last name. This is news. But see, when you in black spaces, and that's why I use my last name, y'all, because they made me stop going by Niele. You need to add your last name.
Gentrification in news.
Yeah. But okay, that's neither here nor there. Last headline is sports headline. The NFL has quietly shut down its accelerator program, which was a flagship initiative launched in 2022 to boost diversity in coaching and front office hires. Now, the program was designed to create a direct pipeline for minority candidates to rise into key roles, addressing long-standing disparities in hiring practices. And if we remember, there was a big deal about Black coaches and the lack of them. And there was a Black coach that sued the NFL. And so this program was built out of that. And now because of Trump and his removal of DEIs, the NFL is falling in line.
Yeah, of course. And nothing surprises me with the NFL. I'm so disgruntled with the NFL. So, which is a good segue to NFL into our black card. And this is, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due here. My guy RNG, the 7 black general managers in the NFL, we are revoking their black card. Here's why. Here's the problem we have with these guys who are in a position of power. So we've talked a lot, of course, about Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way to the 5th round in the NFL draft. But what about these black general managers who sat by while Carson Benson of Alabama A&M was the only player from an HBCU selected? Now you're going to tell me that these HBCU schools don't have talent to go in the NFL draft? Just one? There's no excuse for this. And these GMs are now officially excluded from this year's cookout.
So they're excluded because they could do better at recruiting HBCU.
100%.
Okay.
100%. 100%. And some of the names, since we put up some of the photos, Kwesi Mensah.
Those are all Raiders, right? They're all.
That's the Raiders staff. Yeah,
okay.
That is the. And just think of that, the Raiders. So you applaud them for a black front office that includes a woman, right? And they're among the teams. We talked about Shedeur waiting to the 5th round. I'm sorry, I laugh because Inferno says my new name should be Swiper. What? Swiping, no swiping. But Ryan Poles of the Bears and Andrew Berry of the Browns, and now Andrew Berry of the Browns did take Shedeur in the 5th round. Martin Mayhew of the Commanders, Brad Holmes of the Lions, and Terry Fontenot of the Falcons, and also Ryan Carthen of the Tennessee Titans. So you got 7 African-American GMs. And not one of them, seven of them, not one of them thought that they could use one of their picks on an HBCU player. Yeah, we got a problem with them. At least for this season, this summer, no hot dogs, hamburgers, ribs, nothing. No cookout. That's it. That's our black card for the day. And again, I gotta credit
it's plural today. It's not singular. It's
cards. Yes, I gotta credit RNG, who stays on top of HBCU sports like nobody else. So check him out on Friday nights. The SWAC Sports, RNG Sports over there. So check him out Friday nights on YouTube. He said, Inferno 932 says, you're snatching black cards left and right. I respect that. All right, so some Black history moments on this date in 1923. The Chip Woman's Fortune by Willis Richardson, the first dramatic work by an African American playwright to be mounted on Broadway, opened up at the Fraze Theater on Broadway. So some history on Broadway on this date in 1923.
In 1942, the 93rd Infantry was activated and assigned to combat in the Pacific. Now, it thus became the first African American division formed during World War II. So,
All right.
salute to the 93rd Infantry.
The 93rd. And our Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Garland Journal. The Garland Journal was purchased by iMessenger News Group and began publishing in August of 2012. The Garland Journal touts itself as a publication for people in the northern Texas city of Garland and the surrounding areas that encompasses a 50-mile radius. Garland Journal is for people on the go who want news that is both uplifting and informative. On the pages, you will find information that focuses on trends, issues, and varying opinions. The newspaper was designed for upwardly mobile men and women who want to stay abreast of the issues impacting their lives and those around them. The Garland Journal is our Black-owned newspaper of the day.
And a member of the Black Press NNPA. Have you why that name? Do you know the history of why they call it the National Newspaper?
Well, it used to be the National Negro Publishers Association or News Association anyway. So why they changed it some about 90 years ago. It's been about 90 some odd years that they were the National Newspaper Publishers Association. Not entirely sure.
Okay. Okay. Either way, it's black. It's blackly black. And the Black Press USA is the arm where you can get all of your news from all of the publishers that we're talking about. Oh, there you go. The Negro Press. Okay. Yeah. Still a weapon for freedom. I love it. So we're still a weapon for freedom, and you can get all of the Black news, your little heart desires that uplifts, informs, empowers. All you have to do is head over to www.BlackPressUSA.com.
There you have it. And folks, head back here tomorrow. It's Friday, finally, and we will have some more headlines and topics that start your day. So thanks for watching. We'll see you then.